Hello friends, welcome back to the Lightbird House. My name is Hope if you're new here. If you watched my last cooking video, I mentioned that I was getting a carbon steel wok from Amazon. So I got this one. I'll have to put the link below in the description box, but it was from Amazon. It came with a lid, which I really haven't used yet. I did use the wok once already to make some chicken fried rice. So it's pretty nice. It's got this detachable handle. And then it also came with a cleaning brush, which I have not opened yet. And then it came with this spatula here, which I did use to make the fried rice. And so far, I just hand washed the spatula when I was done with it. This didn't really require too much of a cleaning because it already came pre-seasoned. So I didn't really have to do much of anything to it when it came in. Just had to scrub it down really well with a scrub daddy and some warm soapy water. And then after I was done using it last time, I just kind of wiped it out and left that thin coat of oil that was in there. And I kind of wiped some of the oil on the outside as well. I also bought this separately at Walmart, just a spider wok to use for frying. So got that in case I want to fry anything in here, like deep fry some chicken. But today I'm going to make a Copycat Panda Express honey sesame chicken recipe. So we're going to get started. We are going to have to air fry our chicken, kind of like I did when I made that orange chicken. And I'm going to use the oven this time for air frying because my oven does have an air fry option. So just to make it easier, I'm going to put it all on a sheet pan, air fry it, then we'll finish it up in the wok, and then I'm going to serve it over some white rice that I'll cook separately. So we will go ahead and get started. And by the way, if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you leave. I would love to have you as a part of my YouTube family, and give this video a thumbs up if you're into wok cooking. Okay, for this recipe, we're going to need some fresh green beans that we're going to wash, and we are going to cut these up into like 2-inch pieces. And then we also need a yellow bell pepper that we're going to cut into like 1-inch pieces. So I'm going to wash my vegetables and get them cut up and ready for the meal. Now, the recipe that I saw for this used chicken tenders or chicken breast. I'm going to use chicken thighs because that's what I have thawed out in my fridge. Okay, so I've got my green beans washed. I didn't use the whole bag, but I did just cut them into pieces like this. I cut the ends off of them. And then my yellow bell pepper. Now, if you don't have yellow bell pepper or you don't like it, you could use a different color, but and don't look at my nails. They're horrible. I need to repaint them, but you can substitute probably with red or orange bell pepper if you have it, but Panda Express uses yellow, so I used a yellow one as well. Now I'm going to do the chicken thighs. I hope that they will fry up just as crispy as the chicken tenderloins or chicken breast would, but I'm going to go ahead and do exactly what the recipe showed, which is cutting up the chicken into small chunks, small strips, and then I'm going to put an egg white in there and mix it around with the chicken. And I'll show you when we get to that part. So I'm going to use boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I bought at Sam's Club and just portion them out into bags. So I think I have like 5 in this bag. I'm going to trim off all the yucky parts that I don't want to go in my meal, like right here, right there. And then I'm going to put these pieces of chicken into a bowl so that we can get them mixed with an egg white. Here, if you look at this and say that you need more chicken for your family, you can adjust and do more or less depending on how much chicken you need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an egg and crack it open. We're only going to use the egg white. We're going to mix it up with our hands, and then we're going to set it aside. Then we will need some cornstarch and a baking sheet if you're going to do this in your oven, if you have the air fry function on your stove. If you do not, you would just use a normal air fryer. And I will leave a link below to the video where I found this recipe. But there are several different recipes on YouTube or on the internet that you can find for this honey sesame chicken. It's really, really good if you've never tried it from Panda Express. So I'm hoping to do the recipe justice, and I'm hoping that it tastes better made at home, because most everything tastes better when it's made at home. All right, so we only want to get the whites of our egg and no shell. So we're just going to kind of move the yolk around a little bit. Trying not to use it. Let's see, did I get all the whites out? I think so. So I'm going to discard the rest of this. Whoops, got a little bit in there. Shouldn't hurt anything. We're just going to mix it around. If you don't want to touch this part, you don't like touching raw chicken, you can put a glove on, but I'm just going to keep washing my hands. It's fine. So this is what the guy did. He just took that egg and mixed it around with his chicken, and then he set it aside, and he got some cornstarch and put it on a tray. But I think I'm just going to use a large Ziploc bag, put some cornstarch in there, and then shake the chicken around. I think that'll be the easiest method for me, but you do it however you want to do it. I'm going to go wash my hands, and then I'll grab a bag and some cornstarch. Okay, so in a Ziploc bag, I added some cornstarch. I didn't measure it out. I just dumped some in the bottom. We're going to shake that chicken that was coated in the egg white around in there until the chicken's all coated. Then we're going to go over and dump this on to a baking sheet that I have lined with aluminum foil. And I sprayed it down with some cooking spray just to make sure that nothing sticks. And we're going to let these hang out on the sheet pan for about 2 minutes before we put them in the air fryer. You want to set your air fryer to 400 degrees. In this case, I'm using my stove, so it doesn't take any preheating time. But if you have an air fryer that needs to preheat, then I would go ahead and do that right away. While this is air frying, we are going to make our sauce for this dish. So we're going to air fry on 400 degrees for 12 minutes. We're going to take the chicken out, toss it around a little bit, and then spray it down with some more cooking oil, cooking spray, and put it in for another 12 to 15 minutes. So let's go over to our tray and get our chicken laid out. So yeah, I think using the Ziploc bag method is probably the best way to go. I have my sheet pan here that I mentioned was lined with foil and sprayed down with some cooking spray, nonstick cooking spray. Just gonna dump this out. I'm gonna try to get it in as even of a layer as possible and kind of break these pieces apart just a little bit. Once the chicken has sat here for a couple minutes, we'll go ahead and toss it in there. This piece didn't really get coated well, so I'm gonna, there we go. Make sure that everything has a little bit of coating. And I am going to spray the chicken, the top of the chicken down with the oil cooking spray before I place it in the oven as well. So we'll just let that hang out, and I'll be right back after I wash my hands yet again. Now there's really no preheat time for my oven, but I'm going to hit the air fryer function here. I'm going to go to 400 degrees, hit start, and in just a moment we'll spray our chicken down and throw it in. Alright, so the oven has been heating up. These have been sitting. I'm just going to spray them down with a little bit of spray. Okay. Sprayed those down with some nonstick cooking spray, oil, and I'm going to toss these into the oven to air fry. We're going to go for 12 minutes at 400 degrees. So it's already at 400. We're going to go for 12 minutes, then we will toss them around, spray them again, throw them back in the oven. And now what we're going to do is get our sauce prepared. Okay, now it's time to make the sauce that's going to go with everything. So you're going to need some soy sauce. I'm using reduced sodium. You'll need a tablespoon of that. Ketchup, it doesn't matter what kind you use. We're going to need 1 tablespoon of ketchup. We're going to need 2.5 tablespoons of honey. We're going to need a tablespoon of the rice vinegar, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. We're going to need a 1/4 cup of sweet chili sauce, and I happen to have this one from Panda Express that I used in a recipe in the past. And then we're going to need a teaspoon of cornstarch. We're going to mix this all together. I'm going to eyeball these ingredients, and we're going to whisk them together in a bowl, but I will leave the video linked below for the recipe. A 1/4 cup of the sweet chili sauce. Now this stuff is a little spicy, but I'm just gonna eyeball the measurements. I would say that's about 1/4 cup there. 2.5 tablespoons of honey. Honey is so sticky, I would not want to put this in a measuring cup and measure it out. If you do that, I highly recommend that you spray your measuring cup or measuring spoon with some type of nonstick oil before doing so. So 2.5 tablespoons of honey. I'm going to say that's enough there. We're going to need a tablespoon of ketchup. A tablespoon of the rice wine vinegar. Whoops, comes out fast. Careful with that. 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. Again, I'm using the reduced sodium, but you can use whatever. Whatever you have will work. And then a teaspoon of cornstarch. Again, just going to eyeball that as well. That'll help to make the sauce kind of silky. So there we go. We'll say that's a teaspoon. We're just going to whisk all of this together until it's nice and smooth. Might not look very good right now, but it'll be good once we add it over that chicken. And it'll look better as it starts to come together, so you can see what it looks like. I think that sweet chili sauce, that honey, is what makes this so delicious. All right, 12 minutes has passed. I'm gonna grab my chicken out of here. Let's take a look. It's starting to crisp up a little bit, but still not done. Not where we want it to be. I'm just gonna take my spatula here, give it a little flip. Try not to make such a mess out of it. Just toss it around a little bit. We'll spray it again and get it back into the oven. I'm also wondering if it makes the difference because I'm using the thighs, which thighs have a little more fat content and tend to be a little juicier. It's hard to overcook them or dry them out, so I'm hoping that they will still fry up like I want them to. All right, I've got my rice measured out and washed. You want to wash your rice until the water runs clear. Unless you are using like an instant rice or minute rice, you can take the convenience of that, and that can help as well. And I've got my water on to boil for my rice. We're gonna heat up some vegetable oil, and once it's hot, we're gonna add our veggies in for about 90 seconds. Then we'll add in our chicken and our sauce, and this dinner is gonna come together so quickly. So there's a little bit of prep work involved, but it really doesn't take that long to throw this meal together. It's really a 30-minute meal or less. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and cut up your chicken and veggies ahead of time. And you could even do the egg white on your chicken and pop it back in the fridge. You know, cover it with some cling wrap or plastic wrap, throw it in the fridge, and you could have that part of it done if you wanted to prep ahead of time. Okay, so after the chicken was done cooking for the second 12 minutes. I ended up giving it the extra 3 minutes, so altogether it cooked 12 minutes the first go around, then we tossed it around and put it back in for another 15 minutes. So that's what we're looking like there. My rice is in, and it is boiling. Woo! Let me turn that down. I've got the wok turned up. Here, it's not quite on high. It's on like a medium-high heat between 6 and 8 there, and I did put some vegetable oil in. So once it's smoking hot, we're going to go ahead, add our veggies in. Okay, I saw some smoke coming out. Added my veggies in. Careful because that oil is going to pop. I did end up turning it down because that was hot. Hot oil. I'm just moving it around. I'm going to add our chicken in a minute, and then we'll add our sauce. So just move this around for like 90 seconds or so. And I love all the fresh veggies in there. It's going to be really good. You have to turn it back up. It's just that initial, when you put it in there, be careful because it'll get you. That wok, when it's smoking hot, yeah, definitely want to be careful. So now I'm going to add the chicken in here because we don't want the veggies to be mushed. We don't want them to overcook. Add that chicken in, and then we'll add our sauce, and we'll be done with this portion of the video. Okay, the chicken's in. Just gonna move it around a little bit. Now, I don't know if the chicken would have come up a little bit darker using the actual air fryer instead of the oven method, but we did what we did. Now we're going to add the sauce in there, right over everything, and then we're going to mix it around, and it's going to be ready, and we're just waiting on that rice to finish up. We don't want our sauce to dissolve before we can get that chicken coated. You have to work kind of fast with the wok when you put like soy sauce or any type of sauce in there, because it can evaporate pretty quickly, the liquid in the hot pan. So I'm going to go ahead now and turn my heat off. It looks pretty good. I'm going to give this a taste test because my rice still has a little bit longer to go. But that sauce was bomb.com, so I'm sure that everything else is going to be delicious as well. And I'm curious to see if these beans have softened up. I'm sure that the peppers have, but I'm going to remove this from the heat and give it a little taste test so I can at least taste the chicken. Okay, so I'm going to grab a piece of chicken, green bean, and a piece of bell pepper so I can try it all together. It's looking really good. Go ahead and give it a try. It's going to be hot. The bell pepper is tender, but still got some crunch to it. It's really good. Green beans delicious. Now time for my favorite part, some chicken. It was pretty good. Maybe next time I will use a different cut of meat other than the thigh, but it still crisped up nicely in the oven. I don't know, maybe I used too much cornstarch too. I can kind of taste the cornstarchy taste a little bit, but overall it's pretty good. Yeah, that's good. So we made it at home, and we saved money from having to go out and buy it from Panda Express. So there's your last look at our honey sesame chicken. And I'm going to put some sesame seeds on top when I make my own plate. Not everyone likes sesame seeds, so I'm not going to go ahead and add it on top of the pan here, but it came out pretty good. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.